bad at living. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved what I was doing. I was and always have been passionate about science. But could I get by on work alone? Then I came to a startling realization. I was truly clueless at something really important. What does a woman of science do when she realizes that she is missing out on everything but science? In my case, I decided to conduct an experiment on myself, which changed the course of my life. Over these past few years, I've leveraged my 20 years of neuroscience research and taken a wild leap of faith. I ventured beyond the world of science and discovered a whole new universe of health and happiness that ironically led me right back to where I started. And an enormous, almost total transformation happened inside of me. Determined to change my fate, I went from living as a virtual lab rat, an overweight, middle-aged woman who had achieved many things in science but could not seem to figure out how to also be a healthy, happy woman with both a stimulating career and meaningful relationships. I was at a profound low point, and I knew that the only person who could lift me up was me. I didn't want to wake up 10 years later at age 50 and feel like my life was empty but for more publications, awards, and lab results. I wanted much more. Was that too much to ask? Is each of us destined to be or do just one thing, choose only one path? And don't we all have many sides? Which side of yourself have you given up on in the course of pursuing your work or family or both at the same time? And given the chance, wouldn't you like to connect with that missing part of yourself? Perhaps that creative, fun, exuberant, childlike part of you that rides life like a rodeo cowgirl on a bucking bull? My answer, yes, I would. So in the middle of my life, I began to tackle the seemingly forced separation of my two selves and get happy. Of course, there have been lots of books about what happiness is and how to make yourself happy. From my reading, I gathered that happiness is all about attitude and being able to shift your inner balance of emotions from negative to positive. Happiness also seems to require a certain form of self-permission, as in, give up your attachment to being a stoic victim who is judged only by precisely how productive she is, and instead allow yourself to break free, explore, and create. I also learned that being happy is about determination and free will. It's about stepping up and actively claiming your own happiness and not waiting for someone else to mail it to you in a gift basket topped with a big red bow. But as an award-winning scientist, I felt like I needed something, more substantial, more scientific, to really show me the way. Why not apply all that I know about neuroscience to my life? I realized that to be happy, I had to use all of my brain, not just the part of my brain that designed great neuroscience experiments. I realized that there were vast parts of my brain that I'd stopped using, or used very little, since I started my lab and teaching career at New York University. I had the distinct feeling that these underused parts of my brain were starting to wither away. For example, big parts of the motor areas in my brain were just not being used because I didn't ever move. Parts of my sensory brain, the areas involved in certain non-science-y kinds of creativity, and parts of my brain involved in meditation and spirituality, were like barren deserts compared to the parts of my brain that designed new experiments, followed the rules, and judged myself at every turn. All of those science-based areas were lush and green with as much life as the Amazon rainforest. I realized I had to get in touch with my own brain, all of it, as a first step towards getting happy. But there was still more. Despite my deep love and respect for the brain, I also knew that we are more than just our brains. We have a body connected to that brain that allows us to interact with the world. And it wasn't just parts of my brain that were not being stimulated. My entire body was being neglected. I didn't just need to stimulate the barren parts of my brain. What I really needed was to start